Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and today is going to hopefully be the last installment of our Camry engine issue series. I seriously hope that all problems are behind us and that we are good to go for the next 5 to 10 years. Car's back home, picked it up about an hour ago, so let me flip over to the footage I shot at the dealer, and then you'll rejoin me here after that. Okay guys, I don't know if you can hear me because it's loud and the hood's open right now, but we got the car back. It's idling normally. None of the obnoxious ticking that we had before. So I don't know what they did, but they seem to have fixed it. So let me just get some footage here of the car idling normally, and then we'll take it home. This sounds much more normal. I still don't know if you can hear me, but this sounds way better. None of that real apparent knocking that we had before. So maybe it was all timing chain related, but it seems to be fine now. So you remember the Land Cruiser that we looked at that was in my video? Well, that's exactly the same car. It's parked in exactly the same place. And I don't think you can see it from here, but I looked at the car. The brakes are all, brake pads are all rusty because it probably hasn't moved. And there's the same one over there that was there before. And like 8 or 9 of them just came in on a truck. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, now let's get back to the engine in this Camry. And oh my god, you guys, I have to tell you, I have missed our V6 so much. I love the new hybrid. Look, that new Camry's great, but nothing quite matches the amazing engine that's in this car. Look at all the new Land Cruisers that are coming in that are too expensive, that no one here is buying. I have missed this engine so much. So much. I love this car. I love everything about it. So glad to have it back. Okay guys, back in the garage, right where we started with this Camry at the beginning of this whole sordid ordeal, and boy, do I have a lot to tell you guys. So I'm just going to launch into it. This might be kind of long. Feel free to click out if it gets boring or whatever, but let's get into it because I have so much to tell you. So the dealer that we take our car to is about 15 to 20 miles from where we live. So it's not a short drive, and to get there you take surface streets and highway, mix of both. And on the way home, I was just like shocked, like stunned, completely stunned, because they fixed the issue. Okay, so none of that knocking, ticking, clattering, diesel, like somebody even said in the comments, and I was like, yeah. Somebody said our car sounds like an old diesel car. And I was like, that is exactly what I thought, and why I was like, this cannot be normal, because I've owned 2GR vehicles in the past. I owned a Highlander V6 from 2011 or 2012 for 4 years. So I'm very familiar with how this engine is supposed to drive. And even though the 2GR FKS is a relatively, it's a significantly different engine, they should still drive the same way because it's the same class of engine, if you will, 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 Toyota. Like, these engines have a signature to them, even if it's the FE or FKS. And ours was like forging that signature badly, if you will. So on the way home, whatever they did, so the fixes that they put in, and we'll talk about that here, didn't just fix the problems that we had. They fundamentally changed the way that this car drives in the best way possible. And what I'm realizing now is I think something has been wrong with this car since day one. Let me tell you why. So I just thought that because the FKS is the newer engine with, that runs on the Atkinson cycle, that's got direct import injection, D4S, has all the the newer technologies in it. I just thought that they didn't run as nicely because, when you start loading things up on cars, sometimes it takes away from that. But driving this car home after the fixes that the dealer did, it now drives like every other 2GR car I've driven. And so that tells me something was absolutely wrong with this car. Now, before we get into this any further, let me put kind of back-to-back clips before and after this whole ordeal so that you can hear the difference. And it's like night and day. It's crazy to me how different this car sounds, drives, behaves now. So let's look at that first. Okay, hopefully you heard the difference, though I can't imagine how you wouldn't. Um, Insane to me how different this car sounds now. And like I was saying and alluding to earlier, I really think something has been wrong with this car since day one. So let's get into what the dealer did and then kind of what I'm thinking all this was. So what the dealer determined, based on both knocking noises, so that initial kind of like tap, 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 kind of in like non-rhythmic tapping at cold start, they determined that the timing chain tensioner would not fully extend, causing noise from the engine. Blah, blah, blah. So they removed the engine and transaxle assembly to gain access to timing cover in order to replace timing chain tensioner. Reinstalled engine assembly and transaxle assembly, recharged AC system, verified concern no longer exists. Okay, so ultimately what they did was the timing chain tensioner was either broken or not functioning right from the factory, so they took that out, replaced the part, put everything back together the way it's supposed to be, retimed the engine, and then kind of started it up and to see if it was going to do it again. I think what that did, and I think what was wrong with this car from the beginning, is the timing has probably always been off on this car. And that's what caused some of the noisiness that we had. It was what caused... There were just things about this engine that it didn't ever run as smoothly as I remember the old 2GR FE running. But again, I was under the assumption, well, it is a different engine. It's got more technology. It runs on a different cycle, direct injected, things like that. Now, the timing chain is what ultimately kind of choreographs everything else in the engine. And I might have said this before, so if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But it's what choreographs everything in the engine. You need your engine to be timed perfectly. This is car engines, even as basic as a naturally aspirated 3.5 V6, if things are not timed exactly perfectly in an engine, that's when you start to get premature wear. That's what is what can create debris, and excess rattling and some of the stuff that the Tundra is going through right now too. When an engine is timed perfectly, the way it usually is from the factory, you don't have any issues. It runs really smoothly because everything is operating exactly as it should be, and exactly as it was engineered to run. So I think our car has been running off, with kind of off timing the whole time, and that was what was causing some of those things. And now that the timing chain tensioner has been replaced, the engine was retimed, everything was checked to make sure it was up to spec, this car is kind of running, I think, the way it probably should have from day one. And there are some noticeable things about the way that this car is running now. At idle, it is dead smooth. Like, we would sometimes get these rumbles, so I'm sure we've all driven a car at some point. You're sitting there at idle with the engine on, like at a red light or whatever, and then sometimes you'll kind of feel like a rumble every now and again, and it'll go away and then kind of return again. And you know what I'm talking about? We would feel things like that in this car, which I thought was uncharacteristic for a 2GR. It definitely uncharacteristic for an FE. Maybe it was normal for an FKS. Probably not normal for an FKS. There would be times when you would be, accelerating and the engine would sound raspier than I thought it should have. But again, Atkinson cycle, direct injected, maybe normal. Probably not normal because it's not doing it anymore. Just a lot of those kind of unrefined behaviors and occurrences that are so not characteristic of the signature of a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 from Toyota. So I think they've solved everything, at least for the moment. And I'm so happy. Like, this car drives even better than it did before. And, I would not have ever guessed that there was a problem had that knocking not started. Now, one of the things that I'm kind of wondering about is this car is 9 months old. We've had this for not a long time, but a while. When we took it in, it had about 6,200 miles on it, and it's a little bit more than that now. And my concern, though it's not a big concern, like I'm not worried about this. The thing I'm wondering about is if something was wrong from day one, right, with the timing of this engine, did that leave any lasting damage? I don't think it did. These engines are very resilient, even as technologically advanced as they are. Way more resilient than like a new turbo engine or whatever. But, it makes me wonder, like, because for an engine to last as long as Toyota's engines do, it does need to run the way it was engineered to the spec that it was engineered to. And this car may not have been doing that for the first 9 months of its life. So I think what we will do is we're definitely not going to get rid of this car, especially since they fixed the problem. And we're seeing such a night and day difference. Like, I'm like, this feels like a brand new car now. Like, it's insane. So we're definitely going to keep the car, but what we'll probably do is we'll get the extended warranty, which we were going to do anyway, because the panoramic moonroofs on these tend to fail, especially in the climate we live in. And when they do, that's not a cheap fix. So we'll definitely get the extended warranty. And most importantly, though, I think is we have the paper trail. I'm sorry, I'm just folding this because there's information on the top. We have the paper trail. So if for any reason, this car were to fail prematurely, we have all the documentation from a Toyota dealer and a master technician, master certified tech, whatever the right title for him is, that says we had engine problems from the factory. It was a manufacturing defect. It was covered under warranty, and that should hopefully help us in the long term. So really happy with that. Now, with that said, I do want to address the dealer situation because I'm still not thrilled with it. They did end up comping our loaner car, and that was the 25 Camry that we had, which was really nice of them to do. I mean, I honestly didn't expect. I was ready to walk away from it and just be like, forget it. Like, I'm not gonna fight for this. But John was like, no, this is a matter of principle now. So he forged ahead with that. That's how we got that car. And overall, I'm not thrilled at how much of a fight they put up with it. I'm also not thrilled about the way that they behaved when they first took the car in, because it was kind of like there was a definite sense of like, oh, these dramatic people complaining about a noisy engine, blah, blah, blah. It turned out to be a real problem. And so credit, all the credit to this, I think, goes to the master tech who did this repair, because I think he did a pretty good job, at least on day one. But the dealer, the annoying part, so I'll name the dealer. It's Toyota of Cedar Park here in Austin. If you live in Austin, you'll know what I mean when I say they're the best dealer. All of our other dealers are shady. Like, I don't like going to them. I don't like going to their service departments. All the other Toyota dealers in town, and I apologize, like, if you work for one, I'm not, don't take this personally. They all feel like shady used car dealers. We have an AutoNation, we have Toyota of North Austin, and we have, I think there's another one somewhere. I don't like any of them. They're just not great. So, unfortunately, even though we do have, other Toyota dealers, Toyota of Cedar Park is where we go to buy and to service, because they're the only ones I even remotely want to do business with. So we're kind of stuck going to them unless we really want to go to the shady used car Toyota dealer, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather just go to Cedar Park and deal with their nonsense than all the other dealers' nonsense. Now, the funny part is, so while I was at the dealer, I was waiting for the car, and I was like, I've been meaning to schedule the recall work that needs to be done on the RAV4 Prime. There are like 2 or 3 recalls, one of which includes actually changing out the DC to DC inverter, I think. So it's not a quick, it might not be a quick job, and then the other one is a software update, which takes, God knows how long. So anyway, I went in to do that, and I talked to a service advisor, and I said, hey, I just need to schedule this. How long does it take? When can I bring it in? Blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, okay, you can bring it in on, so I'm going in on like the 23rd or something like that. And they're like, it's probably going to take, like a day and a half, or 2 days, because they're like, lots of people, and blah, 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 we can't work on your car right away, and all this kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, fine. And I asked the question. I was just like, you know what? Let me ask. So I said, since this is recall work, mandated by Toyota, and I have to have the recall work done to renew the vehicle registration. I said, do you offer like courtesy vehicles in the meantime? Knowing full well exactly what the answer was going to be. And sure enough, he was like, yeah, we do. I can totally sign you up for one. It'll be $50 a day, and this could be 3 days. He goes, and if you because you're bringing it in on Friday, if we can't get it done on Saturday, it'll be Monday. And I'm like, oh, cool. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. At $50 a day, $200, forget it. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. I'll just take an Uber home and drive my other car. I wasn't going to fight that battle again. Like, just no. So anyway, I don't know. Frankly, I don't know if I expect a loaner car for recall work. Technically, it's warranty work, but like, I don't know. I mean, it's Toyota corporate. Something's not wrong with. Well, I guess something is wrong. I don't know. You let me know. Let me know down below. Do you guys think you should get a loaner car for recall work? I'm 50-50 on that. if they were to give me one though, I'm like, Toyota ought to be paying for that. Toyota should compensate the dealer for warranty work and recall work if they're offering a loaner. And maybe they do. I've heard from a lot of you that you have gotten loaners for warranty work and recall work. And some of you have told me, my dealer says Toyota compensates the dealer for that. So maybe our dealer is getting compensated by Toyota and trying to make a buck on the customer at the same time. Not really sure. But either way, not a great experience. And again, we're so fortunate to have 3 new cars. And when one needs to go in for recall and warranty work, we always have 2. So we don't need that. But I just can't help but think, like when I was younger, I couldn't have afforded to, live without my car or pay, $50 a day to rent a car. And there are a lot of people out there who can't, even my age or whatever. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. Problem has been solved. This car runs so well now. I love it. I'm so glad to have it back. And yeah, I'm hoping we don't ever have any more problems with it. So, and I'm glad we caught it when we did. That was my other thing. Sorry, I know this is long. If you ever have, trust your gut. When something doesn't sound right, take it in. The worst they can tell you is it's normal, go away. But if they do, by the way, I've been meaning to mention this too. If you go into a dealer and with a concern like this, and they say it's normal, get that in writing, because like this, if they had told us this is normal and our engine grenaded itself because it wasn't timed properly, I would have the paperwork to be able to hold up and go, you said this was normal. I brought this concern to you at, 9 months in. Here we are at 4 or 5 years and the engine grenaded itself because it wasn't timed properly. Like, I had the documentation, and that is when you go to court. That is when you hire an attorney and you fight for, what you deserve. And you fight to get them what they deserve too. So anyway, thank you all for joining me on this great ordeal that it's been. But I think we got the best resolution we could, and I will keep you updated if anything changes about it. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great, I'm going to try to get this out quick. So maybe it'll still be the weekend by the time you're watching this. Questions and comments, leave them downstairs. Email me, the email you see here on screen. I always appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Have a great one, and take care. It feels like a completely different car. The engine is smoother.
Open it up.
It's quieter. Yeah, it's so smooth now. It feels like a completely different car now. Like, it feels like they dropped a new engine in here and it's all better.